Good morning, everybody. So today I just want to talk to you about John the Baptist. There's nobody else in the New Testament, and Gordon will correct me if I'm wrong, who's actually physically described. Not even Jesus do we find out what he looks like, which would have affected all those Renaissance artists throughout the years if we'd have actually had a description about what Jesus looked like, but we don't. We only know what John the Baptist looked like. So it must be important if Matthew and Mark both took the time to write about it. So let's just have a look at him. He's described as being a man who wore camel hair clothes, a leather belt. He ate locusts and wild honey, and apparently crickets that were salty. So just having a look at his appearance, I want you to think, what would your reaction be today if a man like that stood up here and started telling you about God and about repentance and things like that? What would our reaction be today to that? Not good, no. Why not?
Send for the wardens.
There's someone in here that shouldn't be. Let's get them out. Absolutely. So the thing is that the way he looked was a very deliberate description that we can't really understand these days. It doesn't fit in with our understanding of religion and what God's representative should look like. But in those days, Matthew and Mark were making a very deliberate comparison with somebody else. Next slide, please, William. So in the Old Testament, the prophets, and particularly Elijah is described as being a hairy man with a leather belt around his waist. And he was the prophet of the Old Testament, and the prophecy said that Elijah would return just before the Messiah. That's how people would know that the Messiah was coming. So when John the Baptist is dressing like that, he is deliberately aligning himself with that image of Elijah. So that got me thinking, what do we do these days in the way that we dress to connect ourselves with particular groups of people? Next slide, please. Okay, here's some of our lovely faces there. We do it all the time. The way we dress connects ourselves with a particular group, whether it's our school uniform or our work uniform, the way that we dress, or whether it's to do with our clubs or hobbies or sports. The way we dress connects ourselves with a particular set of values. So I've got 2 lanyards. I've got one for the high school and I've got one for the uni. And when I put one lanyard on, I am sort of representing one job role, one ethos, one set of values. And when I take that off and put the next one on, I'm representing a similar, but still it's a different role and it's a different set of values. So the way we dress affects the way we associate ourselves with people. And that's what John the Baptist was doing. He was associating himself with those Old Testament prophets to make people think and make those connections with the forecoming, the telling of the Messiah coming. Okay, next one. And sometimes it can be deliberately used to influence behaviours, to influence the way people are. On your tables, you've got a bit of a have I got news for you style odd one out. So just have a look at those pictures. We've got Theresa May. We've got a man called Carl Power, who's an Eric Cantona lookalike. We've got Perkin Warbeck, who's connected to the Princes in the Tower, Richard III, and that period of history. And we've got Queen Elizabeth II. Does anyone want to throw any guesses out there? Which one's the odd one out? Say again? Okay, why? Because he's fake, that's true. That's true, he's fake, the others are genuine. It's a good answer, but it's not the right one. Anyone else? Say again, sorry? Perkin Warbeck, why? I love that. That's such a literal interpretation. And that's the black and white picture, the others are all in colour. It's a good answer, but that's not the right one either. Margaret Thatcher? No. Okay, why do you think that one?
Nobody liked her.
Controversial.
Controversial. Okay, so that leaves us with Queen Elizabeth II. Does anyone know why she might be the odd one out compared to the others? Do you think you know? Yeah, really close, really close. So the others have all tried to look like somebody else to sway either opinion or gain power or status or influence. So Margaret Thatcher in that picture there, that was when she was elected as an MP in 97. She was wearing pretty much the same outfit that Margaret Thatcher. If you go on to the next slide, Will, does it drop that picture away? Oh no, it doesn't matter, go back then. So yeah, she was wearing almost the same outfit that Margaret Thatcher was wearing. So associating herself with that sort of Iron Lady stance, being the next female MP, being a female MP and wanting to make that statement, this is who I want to put across, this is the influence, the power, the stance, and things like that. Carl Power, that's such a funny story. So him and his friends planned it as a deliberate prank. So they went to Barcelona, the Champions League final. They took 3 different coloured strips because they didn't know what colour the team would be playing in. And when they found out which one it is, he put the right strip on, waited in the wings. And when they all came out for the photo, he stepped in there as well to photobomb the picture. So at the other end, there's a picture of Roy Keane looking at him, going, who's that man on the end? Nobody else seemed to notice. So he's not a footballer, he's just photobombed that picture. Perkin Warbeck, he was the one who, obviously the story goes, the princes in the tower were killed, and then, I don't know, a decade later, this just ordinary boy was dressed up to look like the younger brother in an attempt to try and rally, take a coup and take power. So that was him. Whereas Queen Elizabeth II, I love this story, it came out after she died. Apparently once she was up in Balmoral just dressed in her normal clothes, walking around the grounds, and there were some American tourists, do you remember the story? And they just chatted to her for ages without knowing she was the Queen. So she's the odd one out because they've all tried to use their appearance and dress to gain an advantage, whereas Queen Elizabeth dressed casually so that she wasn't recognised by the Queen, by tourists. Good, right, where am I going with this? The way we dress associates ourselves with a particular group of people. Okay, next slide please. So also, it can affect how people respond to us. If you're dressed in a certain way, people will react to you in a certain way. There's been lots of experiments done on this throughout the years. This is one called the bystander experiment. So 3 different actors dressed up and sat outside the train station in London, obviously making noises in obvious pain, just to see who would stop and ask them if they were okay. So the top corner, he's dressed in kind of normal sort of clothes, lying on the floor outside the station. It took more than 20 minutes for anybody to come up to him and say, are you okay? Do you need any help? About 100 people walked past him and just said nothing. Then a lady came, so she's dressed kind of smart, you know, black skirt, smartish top. So she lay down in the same spot, and it was 4.5 minutes until somebody asked, are you okay? Such a difference in time. Then they got that first actor back, dressed him in a suit. He sat down, 6 seconds. Pretty much the first person that walked past went up to him, are you okay? Because the way they dressed immediately brought this sort of response in their head about how we should respond to them, should we listen to them, should we pay any of them attention. So I thought that was quite interesting. Next slide please. So how do we look as Christians? Let's bring that back to today. If we want to be like John the Baptist and spread the good news, we obviously can't go around in camel skin, leather belts, munching on locusts. What do we need to look like so that people take us seriously? And that's the theme that I want you to think about in the discussion. How do we need to appear to our town today? Or rather, how should we not appear to our town so that people take us seriously? So I've done some research on this, and I've got a picture about what a modern Christian should look like. I wonder if any of the children can come and just help me to describe this person, this picture. So are there any volunteers who want to come and have a little look at this picture for me? Come on then, out you come. Anyone else? We'll have a couple of you. Do you want to come out? Come on, Rabbit. Okay, have a look at this picture. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Don't say anything yet. Okay, Robert, come and have a look at this picture. Okay, that's a modern Christian. Right. Boys, what did you see? You've got to speak really loudly. What did you see?
Myself.
Yourself. We are modern Christians. We are the way that that God's message is to be presented to the world because, believe it or not, we're normal. We're kind of normal. Some of us more so than others maybe, but you know, God's message is for everybody and we are those people. Thank you very much, boys. Go and sit down. Lovely. So that's where I want to stop then for today. There's some questions on the table for you to think about, how we appear and how we can spread the news this Advent.